Hi, it's Ridea keeping it real, and we are continuing to read through the Bible using the Good News Bible. We're on the Apocrypha books, and we're on the Wisdom of Solomon. I've been trying to get to this book for a while. I was going to skip Esther and just go to this book, but we finished Esther, so that's good. And I had, before we began reading it, I had went to ChatGPT and I asked it about the book of the Wisdom of Solomon back on September the 20th. And again, I always ask it to give me the non-Eurocentric view lens of about this book of what is it about? Give me just an overview and why is it in the Apocrypha? So what the book is about. Let me get a little bit closer here. So it's written in the voice of King Solomon. It's a meditation on the power of divine wisdom, not human knowledge, not what you learn in college, not what they try to indoctrinate you in school, not in empire science, but divine wisdom. And so it's contrasting righteousness and wickedness, and that righteousness may suffer now, but they're immortal. The righteous are immortal in the Most High's plan. The wicked are prospering for a season. We have watched it. The 70s, 80s, 90s, wondering why on earth are these people getting ahead, and they lie, they cheat, they steal. Right? They get the best jobs, they got the best houses. Why? It's not fair, right? But what? Their end is destruction. So it celebrates wisdom and the spirit of the Most High that guided creation. It has sustained Israel through history and still walks with those who obey. Wisdom does. It calls out idolatry, greed, and oppression, and it traps the empires that blind people from truth. How it relates to the world today. Next thing is the spiritual warfare in disguise. So in today's world, it's talking about itself, of AI, misinformation, the idolatry of wealth. The book, the Wisdom of Solomon book, reminds us that true wisdom is not in the empire's inventions, but in the spirit of the Most High. So the downloads that we get from the Most High are more powerful, more smarter than AI will ever be. And we know that. It also relates to today's world because it's the difference between justice versus oppression, that the rulers who crush the poor and exploit the earth, it talks about that. It talks about, how the Most High is against that. It talks about the hope for the oppression, that those suffering injustice are not forgotten, and that and that their souls are at peace, even if the empire devalues them. So that's powerful for us, the descendants of this. We are the scattered Israelite remnant that's left. And talks about the immortality of the righteous. So while the world obsesses with power and legacy, the wisdom of Solomon teaches the righteousness itself is eternal. To be righteous, to do the right thing, by people, by yourself. Why is it relegated to the Apocrypha? From a non-Eurocentric viewpoint, the suppression of this book is intentional. Why? It's too powerful for the oppressed. It's going to give us a clear vision that the oppressed are not abandoned, that suffering is temporary, that our destiny is eternal, and that message destabilizes empires and it removes fear. So it's going to help us remove fear reading this book and what's in this book. It exposes idolatry because it blatantly condemns false gods, statues, man-made religions, directly threatening Eurocentric Christendom using images, crosses, and icons. It centers wisdom as divine feminine. And I can remember when I first heard wisdom as a woman was with listening to Big Judas. And it was that, and also that that the Americas was our land. Those are the two things that just threw me off. I was like, what am I listening to? And I remember those back then. I remember that. This was one of those moments like, what is this, right? I can't believe it. But yes, so this book is going to solidify that wisdom is described as a living spirit, radiant, eternal, and guides of prophets. This challenges patriarchal control and rebalances spiritual power. It reveals Israel's true calling. It connects the survival of the true Israel to obedience and wisdom, not assimilation. Go back to the 1960s. Integration. I want you, if you want to do this, because I've done this, is look back at the pictures of us as Negroes back in even the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, up to like the 60s, right? Beautiful, well dressed, just regal looking people. Regal. Because we were separate and apart, doing our thing. And then look at us starting in the 60s where it was militant. And then look at us in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, 2000. Look how our people look. Look at the change when we quote unquote assimilated, right? Back to this. So and this is interesting to me. So the Eurocentric preferred books that were in the Old Testament, they made Israel seem like a closed ancient story, not a living covenant people. We are a living covenant people. Lessons we can learn today: to seek wisdom and not status, to stand firm in injustice, to reject idolatry, and to value our covenant identity, that we are the remnant, preserved not by blending in, but by walking in obedience and wisdom. Bottom line, from a non-Eurocentric point of view, what's the bottom line in all this? It's not a blank page. It's not. If you're a blank page, no, you're not a blank page. What's the bottom line? The bottom line is that when we start reading the Wisdom of Solomon, it's a manual of survival and hope for scattered Israel. It unmasks the empire's lies. It restores divine wisdom as feminine and as a guide of the righteous. It promises that although we've been oppressed, right, that the oppressed who cling to truth will outlast the oppressors. It was placed in the Apocrypha precisely because this knowledge empowers those empires sought to keep us asleep. But we're not asleep. We are awakened Israel. So we're going to read the Wisdom of Solomon. This is the introduction to that. This is Ridea, keeping it real. Until next time.